Instant, intelligent information.
Instant IE, the green economy. I'm Craig Figner. Welcome to the studio of InstantRiverside.com. In this program, we are going to take a look at the growing emphasis on going green. We will examine more closely solar power. Exactly how is it helping the Inland Empire meet its power demands? And then there's landscaping. More and more homeowners are opting for water-wise landscape looks, and many utility companies are offering rebates. And imagine this, a day when you simply get home and plug in the car, maybe no more trips to the gas station. It's no longer the talk of science fiction. We'll begin, though, with the big picture. What does it take to power an entire city? In this case, the city of Riverside. Here is a look at the power mix that keeps the lights on.
We make sure that when our customers go to that light switch on the wall and flip it up, the lights do come on.
What you see behind us is the two compartments where the jet engines are kept. Attached to the jet engines are the electrical generators.
We're looking at the expected needs of our customers on an hourly basis going out 20 years.
If you never give it much thought, it is working perfectly. The city of Riverside is home to one of the most efficient and advanced systems for making and delivering electricity. Riverside has a city-owned utility. It is responsible for making sure the lights across the city stay on.
The interesting thing with electricity is it can't be stored. So every time you turn on a switch, the generator has to pick up that little bit of load, which means a little more fuel has to go to the generator. It has to generate just a little bit more. Electricity is produced at the instant that it's needed.
Our energy usage is driven by weather. The hotter it is in Riverside, the more electricity Riverside customers will use, typically air conditioning.
The city of Riverside receives most of its day-to-day power from a generation plant in Utah.
It's a very large plant. We participated in its construction about 20 years ago, and it provides a very cheap and reliable, or cost-effective and inexpensive energy resource.
Closer to home, Riverside has made a name for itself by investing in numerous electricity projects. For example, Riverside owns part of the San Onofre Nuclear Generating Station. You've probably seen it before along the 5 freeway near San Clemente. The city is also an investor owner in the Hoover Dam. Every day, some of its hydroelectric power travels to Riverside, and that's just the beginning of the green energy.
We have landfill gas contracts, we have geothermal contracts, wind power contracts. Some are within the state, some are outside of the state.
Instantly, as power is generated outside Riverside, it travels at the speed of light to the Public Utilities Department and ultimately to you.
There are literally thousands of miles of wires, and we have 105,000 customers, so it takes a lot of equipment, a lot of people. This facility that we're in today is manned 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Some of the electricity that Riverside needs starts right here. This is the Riverside Energy Resource Center off Jurupa Avenue. Each building holds a jet engine that is key to Riverside's power security.
The jet engines themselves are identical to an engine you'd find on an aircraft, similar to a 747 engine.
Incredibly, each jet engine has the force to provide 48 megawatts of power.
That's about 1/6 of the power the city needs in its peak time period.
This is known as a peaker plant, a guaranteed source of affordable power when there's an emergency or when there is increased demand for power. These jet engines were put to the ultimate test on the morning of October 26, 2007.
About 6:44 in the morning, some of the Southern California Edison lines failed, and some of the lines fell onto some of our power lines.
The power had been down as a result of major transmission lines from Southern California Edison being down across the 215 freeway.
And we had all 105,000 customers without electricity for the first time and any history that we can go back and research that the city was completely out of power.
A security camera happened to record the event. It was near Grand Terrace. Edison power lines collapsed onto the Riverside lines, and the surge of electricity tripped safety breakers and shut down the entire Riverside power system.
We immediately got those jet engine turbines up and running, generating electricity, and we started providing power to our essential services. The first key thing we wanted to get power to was the hospitals and the critical care facilities, and then we went to the emergency operations centers. We also made sure that the water pumping stations had water in case we started having a lot of fires, because we didn't know what initiated the event.
And here we control the compression ratio.
This is a rare look at the jet engines that can power the city. Instead of burning jet fuel, they use natural gas.
The compressed natural gas coming in at 675 pounds comes through this fuel ring, down through these flexible stainless steel tubes to this fuel nozzle.
Unlike a jet aircraft engine, these engines never leave the ground.
Instead of providing thrust to propel the aircraft, we use the thrust to turn the generator. Inside this room is the gas turbine. This is the electrical generator that produces the 48 megawatts. The gas turbine turns the generator at 1800 RPM.
The electricity generated by the jet engines insulates the city against emergencies and days when power use is at peak demand. At this peaker plant, there is a maze of electronics, all of it connected to this control room where the Riverside Energy Resource Center can go from quiet to full speed in just 9 minutes. If you've ever looked at the top of Riverside City Hall, maybe you've noticed the mayor's patio. The roof is covered in solar panels, and that electricity is used at City Hall. Riverside also receives some power from windmills. But Riverside's newest and most innovative program is called Grease to Gas. Inside these unmarked buildings, something remarkable is happening. Grease and restaurant wastewater are being eaten by bacteria, a process that takes roughly 1 month.
The byproduct of this digestion inside of our digesters is carbon dioxide and methane gas. Much like when you eat and breathe, you exhale carbon dioxide.
The methane gas is piped to a nearby building where 2 of 3 large engines are constantly generating power.
The engines that we have inside of this cogeneration facility are 3 Caterpillar engines with a 1.1 megawatt capacity generation system.
Restaurants pay about 15 cents per gallon to have their grease hauled away and converted to electricity. The process of converting grease to gas begins with a new batch of grease that arrives about a dozen times per day.
We have deliveries of grease wastewater approximately every 2 hours. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We have developed a system where it takes a waste that nobody has been able to beneficially use throughout history of the restaurant industry for a positive benefit. We actually convert it from a waste into a usable product that generates enough electricity in 1 day to power about 1,200 homes for a month with electricity.
Right now, that electricity is used to power the Riverside Water Quality Control Plant. Because of the Grease to Gas program, this entire facility is nearly energy independent from the Riverside Public Utilities power grid. The key to providing power today started many years ago. Riverside plans its power needs 20 years in advance. Sophisticated computer models allow future power consumption to be forecast based on the expected growth in population.
And we're looking at the expected needs of our customers on an hourly basis going out 20 years. That gives you an idea of the amount of data that has to be analyzed.
We make sure that when our customers go to that light switch on the wall and flip it up, the lights do come on, and that when they receive that very important piece of mail from us every month, they don't go into sticker shock when they open their bill.
Riverside uses peaker plants like the Riverside Energy Resource Center. It's there to handle extra demand on hot days and during emergencies.